You just sent your last mortgage payment. The house is yours, free and clear. You feel like you won. But 6 months later, you lose your job. And you realize you're sitting inside a $500,000 asset you can't eat. This is the dead equity trap. Hey, Cameron here. What I'm about to say will piss off a lot of people, but the math doesn't care about your feelings. Paying off your mortgage early is often one of the worst financial decisions you can make. Not sometimes, not rarely, often. I know this goes against everything you've been taught. Everyone says owning your home free and clear is the American dream. But what if I told you that rushed mortgage payoff just cost you $500,000? Today, I'm breaking down the dead equity trap. Let me paint you a picture. You're 45 years old. You've been grinding for 2 decades. You've saved $42,000, your emergency fund, a small inheritance, everything. And you make a decision. You're going to pay off the mortgage. You write that check. You mail it to the bank. The house is yours. That night, you sleep better than you have in years. No more mortgage payment. Financial freedom. You did it. 6 months later, everything changes. The economy tanks. Your company does layoffs. You're out. You look at your bank account, $0. You look at your house, $500,000 in equity trapped in the walls. You need groceries. You need to fix your car. You need to pay property taxes. You go to the bank for a home equity line. They laugh at you. You don't have income. We can't lend to unemployed people. You're house rich and cash broke. You're sitting on $500,000 you can't access. This is the liquidity trap. And it's why paying off your mortgage early can be financially devastating. Here's what nobody tells you. The pay off the mortgage movement isn't based on math. It's based on emotion. It's based on fear of debt that comes from our grandparents' generation. In the 1980s, when mortgage rates were 14%, paying off debt made sense. A 14% guaranteed return? That's a no-brainer. But we live in a different world now. If you have a 3%, 4%, or even 5% mortgage and you're aggressively paying it down, here's what you're actually doing. You're locking your money into a savings account that pays 3% to 5% with a massive penalty for early withdrawal. Would you ever voluntarily put $100,000 into a savings account paying 3%? No. You'd say that's terrible. You can get 5% in a money market fund. You can get 10% in the S&P 500. But that's exactly what paying off your mortgage is. You're choosing a 3% return over a 10% return because the word debt makes you uncomfortable. You're paying a fear tax, and it's costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let me show you how banks get rich, and how you can use the same strategy. A bank borrows money from you through your savings account at 0.5% interest. Then they lend it back to you as a mortgage at 6% interest. They keep the 5.5% spread. That's their profit. You can do the exact same thing in reverse. If you have a 4% mortgage and you can invest at 8%, the 4% spread is your profit. It's free money created by leverage. Here's the math. You have $100,000 extra cash. 2 choices. Choice A, pay off $100,000 of your 4% mortgage. You save $4,000 a year in interest. Choice B, invest that $100,000 at 8% average return. You earn $8,000 a year. The difference? $4,000 per year. Compounding, forever. Over 30 years, that one decision is worth $400,000 to $500,000. By paying off the house, you killed the arbitrage. You fired your most productive employee, leverage, and decided to do all the work yourself. Most people think debt is risky. I think not having access to money is risky. When you pay extra toward your mortgage, that money disappears. It goes into home equity. And equity is dead money. It produces no cash flow. It can't be spent. It sits there doing nothing until you sell the house or borrow against it. But here's the problem. Banks lend money to people who don't need it. If you lose your job, your credit tanks, or the market crashes, that equity is trapped. Compare 2 people. Person A, paid off house, 0 cash in the bank. Person B, has a mortgage, $500,000 in investments. Who's safer? Person A has a roof but no engine. If they can't pay property taxes, which you still owe even with no mortgage, the county takes the house. Person B has options. They can sell stocks. They can pay the mortgage for 5 years using liquid assets. They have runway. Cash guarantees security. Liquidity guarantees security. A paid-off house? That's an illusion of security. Here's where it gets really interesting. Inflation is the enemy of savers, but it's the best friend of debtors. When you take a 30-year fixed mortgage, you lock in your payment for 30 years. The payment never changes, but the value of the dollar drops every year. In 2026, you're paying $2,000 a month. That might be 25% of your income. But in 2046, due to 3% annual inflation, that same $2,000 payment has the purchasing power of about $900 today. Your income will likely have doubled or tripled. You're paying off the loan with cheaper dollars. The bank is losing on this deal. They lent you valuable dollars in 2026. You're paying them back with worthless dollars in 2046. By paying off the mortgage early, you destroy this advantage. You're paying the bank back with today's valuable dollars instead of tomorrow's cheap dollars. You should drag that loan out as long as possible. Let inflation eat away at the real value of the debt. The mortgage gets cheaper every year without you doing anything. Let's run the numbers on what early payoff actually costs you. $2,000 mortgage payment. You decide to pay an extra $1,000 per month to knock it out in 15 years instead of 30. You feel responsible. Dave Ramsey would be proud. But let's look at the alternative. Take that $1,000 per month and invest it in the S&P 500 for 15 years at 10% average return. After 15 years, you'd have $400,000 in your investment account. But you keep going. You didn't pay off the house, so you keep the mortgage for the full 30 years. You keep investing $1,000 per month for another 15 years. At the end of 30 years, your investment account is worth nearly $2 million. Meanwhile, the person who paid off the house early has a paid-off house worth maybe $800,000 and zero investment account. The difference in net worth? Over $1 million. That rush to pay off the mortgage cost you $1 million. That's the price of your peace of mind. Now let me be clear. There are exactly two situations where paying off your mortgage early makes sense. 1. Your interest rate is significantly higher than market returns. If you have an 8% or 9% mortgage, pay it down. That's a guaranteed 9% return. That beats the market. 2. You're financially undisciplined. If you know for a fact that you'll blow that extra money on garbage instead of investing it, then pay the mortgage. It acts as forced savings for the undisciplined. But if you're watching this channel, I assume you're disciplined. I assume you're trying to optimize. For disciplined investors, low-interest mortgage debt is an asset. It's a financial tool from a low-interest era we may never see again. To pay it off early is to destroy a valuable instrument. You're throwing away a below-market loan that amplifies your wealth. Here's what to do right now. Stop sending extra payments to your mortgage. Take that $500 or $1,000 you're paying extra every month. Open a separate brokerage account. Call it your Freedom Fund. Set up automatic transfers for that same amount into an S&P 500 index fund. Just let it grow. In 10 years, compare that account balance to the interest you would have saved on the mortgage. You'll see it with your own eyes. You'll be tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars richer. And more importantly, if you have an emergency tomorrow, you can access that money. You can't access the extra payment you sent to the bank last month. That money is gone. We need to stop optimizing for sleeping well at night based on outdated advice and start optimizing for sleeping well at night because we have a fortress of liquid cash that can handle any crisis. A paid-off house is a trophy. A massive investment portfolio is an army. I'd rather have the army. Look, I know this goes against everything you've been taught. Your parents will disagree. Dave Ramsey fans will hate this. That's fine. But the math is the math. And the math says keeping a low-interest mortgage while investing the difference builds significantly more wealth. If you're about to make an extra mortgage payment, you might want to pause and run the numbers first. Drop a comment with your mortgage rate and whether you're paying extra. Also, subscribe if you want more financial strategies that challenge conventional wisdom. See you next week. Keep building.